After 20 years and 6 Super Bowls, Tom Brady left the New England Patriots in free agency. In typical Patriots fashion, they lucked out, becoming the only team to ever lose a former MVP and replace him with another former MVP and Cam Newton. Newton brings a lot to the table we didn't previously see in New England, specifically his mobility and ability to extend plays. Today, we're going to talk about what the film says about this new offense and break down some individual examples. First of all, before the video, please do subscribe if you enjoy the video to make sure you don't miss any future uploads. It really helps us out and allows us to continue to make content for you guys. The film gives us an idea of what this New England Patriots offense looks like with their new quarterback Cam Newton. Newton had a ton of success with the Carolina Panthers over 9 years, winning an MVP, being named Offensive Rookie of the Year, being named a first-team All-Pro, and making the Pro Bowl 3 times. He made his living running the football and being used as a lethal dual-threat quarterback. This goes almost completely against what the Patriots' former quarterback Tom Brady was known for. Brady wasn't mobile in the slightest. Trust me, as a Patriots fan, I know. And he was all about taking the yards that the defense would give him. For starters, this offense looks clearly improved from the 2019 Patriots with Brady under the helm. Believe it or not, Newton is a career underneath route quarterback, even though some people don't realize it. Newton often makes the easy passes and underneath routes that Brady so loved. Additionally, the film shows time after time, the Patriots wide receivers make space to secure an easy option for Newton. Ironically, that was the main complaint during Brady's final season in New England, along with, of course, that offensive line. However, Newton seemingly always has had plenty of time during the first 2 weeks of 2020. Things could change over time as they begin to play teams with more stout defensive lines like the Rams, but for now, they've been great. The biggest and most obvious difference between the Brady era to now is the mobility that Newton brings to the table. Teams in the past knew exactly what Brady was, and if they could pressure him enough and manage to shut down the underneath routes, it was basically a guaranteed win. Newton brings a whole new fold to the equation. The Patriots have begun to utilize an option play call, something you'd certainly never see Brady pull off. Newton showed off his ability to option in just his second play for the Patriots. With 2 wide receivers out wide and a safety deep for the Dolphins, Newton has some extra space in the middle of the field. He makes even more room by motioning Sony Michel away from the pocket. Newton hikes it and it looks like an easy pass off to Rex Burkhead, but Newton keeps it and goes for 10 yards. This not only makes Newton dangerous running the ball, but the running backs in New England should see an easier time getting yards with another threat in the backfield. We see a similar situation later in the first quarter. This time, Newton decided to hand it off to Burkhead, who went for 15 yards. The gain came after it was made clear that the defense's main focus was on Newton. Both defenders on the edge sold on Newton, giving Burkhead space to run. The use of Newton as a decoy doesn't only work in the running game though. Here in the red zone, Newton takes the snap and the line collapses into block. The defense plays the run and moves in, but Newton finds Jacob Johnson, who went out for the pass after originally lining up in the backfield with Newton. Sticking with the new mobility on display in New England, Josh McDaniels and company have begun drawing up fully designed quarterback runs for Newton. While some designed runs for Newton were with a slew of blockers in the middle of the field, this play showcased receivers out wide to take some of the focus off Newton pre-snap. He hikes the ball and rushes forward for 7 yards. We see yet another designed run 3 plays later with the ball at the Miami 4-yard line. Receivers are out wide again for space and use motion to create commotion. Newton takes the snap and moves to the right side. With it being a fully planned run, Ryan Izzo knows to move in to block and Mark Asper pulls to the outside to help Newton find the easy touchdown. And of course, like we saw Newton thrive in Carolina, he can make a play out of nothing. Newton has the mobility to extend a play and make plays with his legs. In the fourth quarter, Newton drops back to pass, but the Dolphins secondary has the receivers on full lockdown. Newton sees a lane open up to the left and immediately takes it to scramble for a 14-yard first down. New England took care of business in week 1 against the Dolphins at home, but narrowly lost in an obsolete nail-biter in week 2 to the Seahawks. The game came down to the final play, a designed run for Newton, but before we look at that, we need to see the same play about 2 minutes before the final play of the game. Goal line situation, the Patriots line up with 9 blockers ahead of Newton and Johnson. Watch Johnson close, who is the lead blocker for Newton. Newton is able to take the snap, move to the outside, and find the end zone. Now with 3 seconds remaining in the game, the Patriots find themselves in a similar situation. The Patriots ran out the same play, with Johnson to the left as a lead blocker for Newton. This time, with the game on the line, Johnson is blown up in the backfield, preventing Newton from bouncing out to the left with a chance to win the game. The Cam Newton era in Carolina started to go downhill when he suffered a shoulder injury in November of 2018. He then underwent shoulder surgery on the injury, only 1 year after another surgery on the same shoulder for a torn rotator cuff. This has made everyone quite skeptical of Newton's throwing ability, and for good reason. Newton, however, has done his part in making some great throws to prove otherwise. The two examples we're going to look at both were passes to Edelman with none other than new Seahawks acquisition Jamal Adams in coverage. Shown here is a prime example of Newton dropping the ball in a perfect spot, right in the breadbasket, where only Julian Edelman is able to get to the ball, ensuring that Adams isn't able to make a play on the ball. Newton does much of the same again later in the quarter. Again, he puts it only where Edelman is able to get to the ball, and Newton shows off his arm strength and ability to hit the deep ball despite his previous surgeries. Of course, we know that any quarterback has their weaknesses. Instead of focusing on physical missteps or issues of talent, we need to focus on clear mistakes by Newton. Brady specialized at always taking what the defense gave him. If the defense gave him an open route for 3 yards, he would take it 10 out of 10 times. In this example, the Patriots face a third down. James White gets open, an option that Brady would hit every time, and Newton sees him open before waiting to evaluate other options and then finding White too late while in tight coverage. Not only did Newton wait too long on White, but he seemingly doesn't see a wide open N'Keal Harry. Newton made the same mistake against the Seahawks the following week. Late in the fourth quarter, Newton forced a pass to Harry, able to pick up the first down, but Newton didn't see a wide open Edelman in his read progression. The number one issue Newton had was on display and even cost the Patriots a possession against the Seahawks. On multiple occasions, Newton couldn't find his receiver in stride and ended up throwing the ball behind them. That's just a recipe for disaster. In the second quarter, Newton looks to find Damiere Byrd, but throws the ball behind him and it is nearly picked off. Then, in the third quarter, Newton is put in a similar position. He can't find Byrd on time, and this time it's picked off by Quinton Dunbar. Throwing the ball behind the receiver is one of the easiest ways to turn over the ball. Brady was magical at always making the right decision and making sure he anticipated his receivers correctly. Newton shouldn't be expected to have Brady-level discipline, but he will need to straighten it up. Luckily for the Patriots, Newton brings a whole new dimension to New England to make up for it. It's still incredibly early for this offense that is just starting to find its way with new quarterback Cam Newton. So far, so good for the New England Patriots. Despite a close Week 2 loss to the Seahawks, Newton brings an entire new look to this team, using his legs to make plays and constantly serving as a distraction for his other members of the offense. Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels are geniuses, and they're certainly enjoying their new weapon in Newton. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe if you enjoyed, and if you want to stay up to date with Jackson and I, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We love interacting with you guys and appreciate the support. And this one's for Mr. Funes. Bye guys.